The pamphlets hit the coffee table with a soft thud that somehow felt like a gunshot. "We're doing this because we love you, Alexandra. My name is Alexandra Collins, and I should have seen this coming. The perfectly arranged living room, the way everyone sat just a little too straight, the fact that my sister Jennifer had actually brushed her hair before 10 a.m. on a Saturday. All red flags I'd ignored, because some naive part of me thought my family had invited me over for brunch. What exactly is this? I asked, though the glossy brochures scattered across Mum's antique table already told the story. Financial responsibility for young adults. When family members need help. Understanding conservatorships? Jennifer leaned forward, her voice dripping with the same fake concern she'd perfected since childhood. We've been watching you, Alex. The way you sold your company so impulsively, the spending, the isolation. We're worried. Worried enough to research legal guardianship, apparently. I picked up one of the pamphlets. The cover showed a smiling family gathered around an older woman, everyone looking relieved and grateful. How thoughtful. Don't be sarcastic, Mum said, wringing her hands. This is serious. You're 35 years old and you've never had a stable relationship. You sold a perfectly good business on a whim. For $12 million. Money isn't everything, Dad said quietly from his corner chair. He hadn't looked at me once since I'd walked in. Raymond, Jennifer's husband, cleared his throat. Alexandra, we've consulted with a lawyer. A conservatorship would protect your assets while ensuring you have the support system you clearly need. I almost laughed. Raymond talking about protecting assets was rich, considering the rumours I'd heard about their mounting credit card debt. But I kept my face neutral, even let my hands shake a little as I set down the pamphlet. You want to control my money. We want to help you make better decisions, Jennifer said. Look at yourself. When's the last time you left that apartment? When's the last time you dated someone? You're spiralling and we can't just watch it happen. The thing about being the family disappointment is that you learn to read people's real motivations early. Jennifer's eyes had that gleam they got whenever she was about to get something she wanted. Raymond kept glancing at his phone like he was expecting an important call. Mum looked genuinely distressed, but she'd always been easily manipulated by Jennifer's dramatics. What does this process look like? I asked, my voice smaller than usual. Jennifer's smile widened. We've already filed the initial paperwork. There will be a hearing, some evaluations. It's really quite straightforward. You've already filed? We had to act quickly, Raymond said, for your own protection. The room went quiet, except for the ticking of Mum's grandfather clock. I could feel them all watching me, waiting for the breakdown they'd probably rehearsed responses for. Jennifer had her tissues ready. Mum had her arms positioned for a hug. Even Dad had finally looked up, his face set in that disappointed expression I knew so well. I need some air, I whispered, standing up too fast and letting myself sway slightly. Of course, sweetheart, Mum said, immediately moving toward me. This is a lot to process. We're here for you, Jennifer added, whatever you need. I nodded, not trusting my voice, and walked toward the stairs. Behind me, I heard Jennifer's voice, lower now, but still audible. See? She can't even handle a simple conversation about her future. I made it to my childhood bedroom and closed the door before pulling out my phone. My hands weren't shaking anymore as I scrolled to Hadley's number. She picked up on the first ring. It started, I whispered into the phone, even though I could hear them talking downstairs and knew they couldn't hear me. Let's move. Are you okay? Hadley's voice was sharp with concern. I looked around the room that still had my high school debate team trophies on the shelf, the same yellow walls I'd painted when I was 16, and thought I knew everything about the world. I'm perfect, I said. They have no idea what they just started. 3 days later, I sat in Thaddeus Schmidt's law office, fidgeting with my sleeves, while Jennifer explained my concerning behaviour patterns to their attorney. She sold her company without consulting anyone, Jennifer said, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. $12 million, and she just gave up everything she'd worked for. And the spending since then? Thaddeus asked, his pen poised over a yellow legal pad. Reckless. She bought that expensive apartment, the car, all those art pieces. She's burning through money like it's nothing. I let my leg bounce anxiously, staring at the floor. I just wanted nice things for once. See? Jennifer reached over and patted my hand. She doesn't understand the value of money. She thinks it's infinite. What Jennifer didn't know was that every reckless purchase had been carefully calculated. The apartment was in a building that had appreciated 30% in 2 years. The car was a limited edition that was already worth more than I'd paid. The art was from emerging artists whose work was starting to appear in major galleries. But I kept that to myself and instead mumbled, I thought I was being smart. Of course you did, honey, Jennifer said. That's exactly why you need help. Thaddeus made notes. What about social isolation? Relationships? She hasn't dated anyone seriously in over a year, Raymond chimed in. She barely leaves her apartment except for these shopping sprees. I work from home now, I said quietly. I'm consulting. Consulting for who? Jennifer asked, You never talk about clients. I shrugged. The truth was, I didn't need to work at all. But I'd been quietly investing in startups and serving on a few boards. Nothing flashy, nothing that would make headlines, but enough to keep my mind sharp and my network intact. This is what we're talking about, Jennifer told Thaddeus. She's completely disconnected from reality. After the meeting, Jennifer insisted on driving me home. As we sat in traffic, she kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror. You know, I'm doing this because I love you, right? I know. Remember when we were kids and you'd get so upset about everything? You'd lock yourself in your room for days after Dad criticised your grades. I remembered it differently. Jennifer would tell Dad I'd cheated on tests or lied about homework, then comfort me when I got in trouble. But I just nodded. You've always been sensitive, she continued. There's nothing wrong with needing help. That evening, I met Hadley at a small cafe downtown. She slid a folder across the table. Kyson's preliminary report, she said. Your sister and Raymond are in deeper trouble than I thought. I opened the folder. Credit card statements, loan documents, mortgage papers. The numbers made my stomach drop. They owe almost $400,000, Hadley said. Credit cards, personal loans, a second mortgage they took out 6 months ago. Jesus! It gets worse. Look at the dates. I flipped through the papers. Most of the debt had been accumulated in the past year, right around the time news of my company sale had gone public. They've been living like millionaires on borrowed money, Hadley said. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, that new BMW Raymond's driving. They've been telling people they're doing well, but they're about to lose everything. So this conservatorship would give them legal control over your assets. They could pay off their debts, keep their lifestyle, and no one would ever know how close they came to bankruptcy. I closed the folder. Can you trace the shell companies holding their debt? Kyson's working on it. Why? Just curious about who they owe money to. Hadley studied my face. What are you thinking? I'm thinking that if someone were to buy that debt, they'd have a lot of leverage. Alexandra. Hypothetically, she sighed. Hypothetically, yes. Debt can be sold. The new creditor would have the same rights as the original lender. And if someone defaulted on that debt? The creditor could demand immediate payment, seize assets, destroy credit ratings. She paused. Hypothetically. I smiled for the first time in days. I love hypotheticals. This is dangerous territory. They started this war, Hadley. I'm just thinking about how to win it. My phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. Hope you're feeling better after today. The evaluation with the psychiatrist is scheduled for Friday. Don't worry, Dr. Martinez is very understanding. I showed Hadley the message. They're moving fast, she said. So are we. I stood up. Set up a meeting with Kyson. I want to know everything about those shell companies by tomorrow. And if I can't talk you out of this? You can't. I grabbed my purse. But you can help me do it right. Sunday, dinner at Mum and Dad's felt like a performance where everyone knew their lines except me. Jennifer had made her famous lasagna. Raymond was opening wine, and I was supposed to be the unstable sister who needed saving. Alexandra, you look tired, Mum said, setting down a basket of garlic bread. Are you sleeping? Sometimes. I let my fork clatter against my plate a little too loudly. The apartment gets noisy at night. Maybe you should consider moving somewhere quieter, Jennifer suggested. Somewhere with less stimulation. Like where? Well, there are some lovely assisted living communities. I'm 35, not 75. Raymond laughed. She means places with support staff. People who can help with daily tasks, medication management, that sort of thing. I stared at him. Medication management? Dr. Martinez might recommend something to help with your anxiety, Jennifer said gently. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I haven't even met Dr. Martinez yet. But when you do, it's important to be honest about your struggles. Jennifer reached across the table and squeezed my hand. We've all noticed the changes in you. Dad cleared his throat. The important thing is that we're here for you. Are you? I pulled my hand away. Because it feels like you've already decided I'm incompetent. Nobody said incompetent, Mum said quickly. The legal papers did. The room went quiet. Jennifer's smile flickered. You read the filing? Raymond asked. Some of it. Before I got too confused by all the big words. I let my voice waver slightly. It said I was unable to manage my own affairs. That's just legal language, Jennifer said. It doesn't mean... It means exactly what it says. I stood up abruptly, knocking over my water glass. You think I'm crazy. Alexandra, sit down, Dad said. No! I let my voice crack. You all sit here talking about me like I'm not even here, planning my life, deciding what's best for me. I'm not a child. You're acting like one, Jennifer snapped, then immediately softened her tone. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. But look at yourself right now. I was breathing hard, hands shaking, water dripping off the table onto the floor. It was exactly the kind of scene they described to Dr. Martinez. I need air, I whispered, and ran outside. Through the kitchen window, I could hear Jennifer's voice. This is exactly what I'm talking about. She can't handle any kind of stress. 20 minutes later, Jennifer found me sitting on the porch swing. I brought you some tea, she said, settling beside me. Thanks. I know this is hard. Change always is. I sipped the tea. It was chamomile, the same kind Mum used to make when I had nightmares as a kid. Do you remember when I was 8 and I wanted to run away? I asked. Jennifer smiled. You packed that little suitcase with your stuffed animals and a box of crackers. You found me in the treehouse and talked me into coming home. You were scared Dad was going to send you to boarding school because of your grades. You told me families stick together no matter what. They do, Jennifer said softly. That's what this is about. I looked at her. Really looked. The designer clothes that were probably maxed out on credit cards. The expensive highlights that Raymond had probably complained about paying for. The wedding ring that was definitely bigger than what a middle manager and a part-time real estate agent could afford. Can I ask you something? Of course. Are you happy? She blinked. What kind of question is that? A simple one. Are you happy with your life? I'm happy when my family is safe and healthy. That's not what I asked. Jennifer set down her teacup. Why would you ask me that? Because you seem stressed lately. You and Raymond both. Everyone has stress, Alexandra. That's what being an adult means. Is that why you need my money? The words hung in the air between us. Jennifer's face went very still. What did you say? Nothing. I'm just confused about everything. I rubbed my temples. My head hurts. Alexandra, what did you mean about money? I don't know. I say stupid things when I'm upset. I stood up. I should go home. Wait! Jennifer grabbed my arm. What do you know? For just a second, her mask slipped completely. I saw the desperation underneath, the fear, the calculation. Then she caught herself and let go. I don't know anything, I said. That's the problem, right? I'm too stupid to know anything. You're not stupid. The legal papers say I am. They don't say that. Then what do they say, Jennifer? She opened her mouth, then closed it. We should get you home. That night, Kyson called with an update. I found the shell companies, he said. 3 different LLCs, all registered in Delaware. Very sophisticated setup. Who owns them? That's the interesting part. The trail leads back to a private equity firm that specializes in distressed debt. Meaning? Meaning someone with serious money is already circling your sister's debts like a shark. I smiled in the darkness of my apartment. How much would it cost to buy those debts? About 60 cents on the dollar, maybe less if you moved fast. Do it. Alexandra. Do it, Kyson. All of it. There was a long pause. This is going to destroy them. They're already destroyed. They just don't know it yet. Dr. Martinez had kind eyes and a voice like warm honey, which made lying to her feel particularly awful. How are you feeling about the changes in your life, Alexandra? I twisted my hands in my lap. Scared, I guess. Everything feels so big and complicated. Can you tell me about selling your company? I got overwhelmed. Running a business is hard, and I thought if I sold it, things would be easier. I let my voice get smaller. But now everyone's mad at me. Who's mad at you? My family. They think I made a mistake. Dr. Martinez made a note. Do you think you made a mistake? I shrugged. I don't know anymore. Maybe I should have asked for help first. What kind of help? I don't know. Jennifer's always been better at important decisions. For 45 minutes, I played the part of someone who genuinely doubted herself. It wasn't entirely acting. There was a part of me that had always wondered if Jennifer really was the smarter sister, the one who made better choices. I'd like to see you again next week, Dr. Martinez said as our session ended. Okay, should I bring Jennifer? She knows me better than anyone. Let's start with just you for now. Outside the office, Jennifer was waiting in her car. She rolled down the window as I approached. How did it go? Fine, I think. She was nice. What did you talk about? The company sale, my feelings. I got into the passenger seat. She wants to see me again next week. That's good. Therapy takes time. As Jennifer drove, I noticed her hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than necessary. Can I ask you something? I said. Sure. If the conservatorship goes through, what happens to my apartment? What do you mean? Like, would I have to move? Would someone else decide where I live? Jennifer was quiet for a moment. We'd make sure you're somewhere safe and comfortable. But I love my apartment. I know, but it might be too much for you to handle. The maintenance, the expenses. Could you help me with the paperwork instead? For the apartment stuff? What kind of paperwork? I don't know. There are always forms and things. The building management sends me stuff I don't understand. Jennifer's grip on the steering wheel relaxed slightly. Of course I can help. What do you need? There's a stack of papers on my kitchen counter. Could you look at them this week? Tell me what's important. Absolutely. That evening, I spread the carefully selected documents across my kitchen counter. Property tax assessments, insurance forms, building maintenance notices, all legitimate paperwork, but nothing sensitive. Mixed in were a few investment statements showing modest returns, the kind of thing that would make Jennifer think I was being conservative with my money. What she wouldn't see were the real investment accounts, the ones Hadley managed through a different firm, the ones that had just purchased $400,000 in distressed debt. My phone rang. Kyson. It's done, he said. As of this afternoon, you own every penny of debt that Jennifer and Raymond owe. All of it? Credit cards, personal loans, the second mortgage, everything. The previous creditors were happy to sell. They were getting nervous about collection. What's the timeline? The original payment schedules are still in effect, but as the new creditor, you have the right to call in the debts at any time. And if they can't pay? Asset seizure, credit destruction, potential bankruptcy. The usual consequences of defaulting on $400,000. I walked to my window and looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Jennifer was probably going through my paperwork, looking for evidence of poor financial management. She had no idea that I now held her entire financial future in my hands. There's something else, Kyson said. I found evidence that Raymond's been intercepting your mail. What? Building security footage from 3 weeks ago. He's got a key to your mailbox and he's been taking things out before you get them. That's federal mail tampering. Exactly. Hadley thinks it could be useful in court. The next morning, Jennifer called bright and early. I looked at your paperwork, she said. There are some things we need to discuss. Is it bad? Not bad, just complicated. Can I come over? Sure. An hour later, Jennifer sat at my kitchen table with the papers spread out in front of her. Your property taxes are going up, she said, and this insurance renewal looks expensive. How expensive? Maybe we should look at downsizing. Something smaller, more manageable. I like it here. I know, but honey, you're spending almost $8,000 a month just on housing costs. That's not sustainable. I let my eyes widen. $8,000? Between the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance fees, yes. That seems like a lot. It is a lot for someone in your situation. What situation? Jennifer reached across and took my hand. Someone who needs to be more careful with money. But I have lots of money. You have money now, but if you keep spending like this, it won't last forever. I nodded slowly, like this was a revelation. Maybe you're right. I usually am, Jennifer said with a smile. That's why you need to trust me. I do trust you. Good. Because I'm going to help you make some changes. As she gathered up the papers, I noticed her hands were shaking slightly. The stress of her own financial situation was starting to show. Jennifer? Yes? Are you okay? You seem worried about something. Her smile faltered for just a second. I'm fine. Just concerned about you. Are you sure? Because if you ever needed help with anything... I don't need help, Alexandra. You do. After she left, I called Hadley. She took the bait, I said. She's already planning to move me somewhere cheaper. And the mail tampering? We'll save that for court. Let her think she's winning for now. This is getting dangerous, Alexandra. If she finds out what you're really doing... She won't. She's too busy planning my future to notice I'm planning hers. The courtroom smelled like old wood and broken dreams. I sat between Hadley and a court-appointed advocate, trying to look small and overwhelmed while Jennifer's legal team presented their case. Your Honour, Thaddeus said, adjusting his glasses, the petitioners have documented a clear pattern of erratic behaviour and poor financial judgment. Judge Morrison, a woman in her 60s with steel grey hair, looked unimpressed by the theatrics, but listened carefully. Ms. Jennifer Ray, Please take the stand. Jennifer walked to the witness box like she was accepting an award. She'd chosen her outfit carefully. A conservative navy dress that screamed, "Responsible older sister. Can you describe your sister's behaviour over the past year?" Thaddeus asked. "It's been heartbreaking to watch," Jennifer said, her voice catching slightly. After she sold her company, she became increasingly isolated. She stopped returning calls, stopped seeing friends. What about her financial decisions? Reckless. She bought an expensive apartment without consulting anyone, spent thousands on art and furniture. When I tried to discuss budgeting with her, she became defensive and angry. "Can you give the court a specific example?" Jennifer dabbed at her eyes. "Last month, I found her crying in her apartment because she couldn't understand her property tax bill. She asked me to help with her paperwork because she said the numbers were too confusing. I kept my face neutral, but inside I was impressed. She'd taken my bait perfectly. In your opinion, is your sister capable of managing her financial affairs? I love Alexandra deeply, but no, she needs help and she's too proud to ask for it." Hadley leaned over and whispered, "She's good." "Wait for it," I whispered back. Thaddeus called Raymond next. He painted a picture of a concerned brother-in-law who'd watched me spiral into isolation and poor decision-making. "She seems to live in a fantasy world," Raymond said. "She talks about consulting work, but we've never seen evidence of any clients. She claims to be making investments, but she can't explain what she's invested in. Have you observed any other concerning behaviours?" "She's paranoid. She thinks people are watching her, following her. Last week, she accused me of going through her mail." Judge Morrison made a note. "Did you go through her mail?" Raymond looked shocked. "Of course not, Your Honour. That would be illegal." When it was our turn, Hadley stood up slowly. "Your Honour, I'd like to call Kyson Watson to the stand." Thaddeus looked confused. "Objection. This witness wasn't on the list." "He's a rebuttal witness, Your Honour. We only discovered the need for his testimony yesterday." "I'll allow it." Kyson walked to the stand carrying a thick folder. He looked like what he was, a forensic accountant who'd spent his career following money trails. "Mr. Watson, what is your profession?" "I am a certified public accountant specializing in forensic financial analysis." "Did you conduct an investigation into the financial circumstances surrounding this case?" "I did." "What did you find?" Kyson opened his folder. "I found significant discrepancies in the financial disclosures submitted by the petitioners." Thaddeus shot to his feet. "Objection! The petitioners' finances aren't relevant to—" "Your Honour," Hadley interrupted, "the petitioners are asking for control over substantial assets. Their own financial stability is absolutely relevant to their fitness as conservators." Judge Morrison nodded. "Continue, Mr. Watson." Jennifer Ray and Raymond Ray currently owe approximately $400,000 in unsecured debt. This debt was accumulated primarily in the past 18 months, coinciding with public reports of Ms. Alexandra's business sale. The courtroom went dead silent. I could see Jennifer's face going pale. Furthermore, Kyson continued, they misrepresented their income on the conservatorship application. Mr. Ray claimed an annual income of $85,000, but his actual income last year was $42,000. "Objection!" Thaddeus was on his feet again. "This is character assassination." "It's fraud," Hadley said calmly. "They lied on legal documents submitted to this court." Judge Morrison's expression had shifted from neutral to stern. "Mr. Watson, do you have documentation of these claims?" "Yes, Your Honour." Kyson handed a stack of papers to the bailiff. "Bank statements, credit reports, tax returns, and loan applications." I watched Jennifer whisper frantically to Thaddeus. Raymond had gone completely white. "Your Honour," Thaddeus said, "we request a brief recess to review these documents." Denied. Mr. Watson, please continue. The debt is currently held by a private investment firm that specializes in distressed assets. Based on the payment history, the Rays are approximately 90 days behind on most accounts. What are the typical consequences when someone defaults on this level of debt? Asset seizure, credit destruction, potential bankruptcy proceedings? Jennifer made a small sound, almost like a whimper. Mr. Watson, in your professional opinion, are individuals facing imminent financial ruin suitable candidates to manage someone else's assets? Absolutely not. They have clear financial incentives that could compromise their judgment. Hadley turned to the judge. Your Honour, I have additional evidence regarding illegal interference with Ms. Alexandra's mail, but I believe we've heard enough to demonstrate that this conservatorship petition is not filed in good faith. Judge Morrison looked at the papers in front of her, then at Jennifer and Raymond, then at me. I'm calling a 30-minute recess. When we return, I want to hear from Ms. Alexandra herself. As the courtroom emptied, Jennifer rushed over to me. How did you know? She hissed. I looked up at her with wide, innocent eyes. Know what? Don't play dumb, Alexandra. I thought I was too dumb to play anything else. Her face crumpled. You don't understand what you've done. I haven't done anything, I said softly. But apparently you have. Hadley put her hand on my shoulder. Time to go, Alexandra. As we walked toward the hallway, I heard Raymond's voice behind us. $400,000, Jennifer? How the hell did she find out about $400,000? I smiled. They still had no idea I owned every penny of it. When court resumed, Hadley stood and addressed Judge Morrison with the confidence of someone holding all the cards. Your Honour, I'd like to present additional evidence regarding the scope of financial deception in this case. She nodded to Kyson, who wheeled in a projector and laptop. What you're about to see, Hadley continued, is a complete forensic audit of the petitioner's financial activities over the past 2 years. The first slide showed a timeline. Jennifer and Raymond's spending had skyrocketed immediately after news of my company sale broke. In March of last year, when Ms. Alexandra's business sale was announced, the Rays' monthly expenses jumped from $4,000 to $12,000, Kyson explained. New car lease, designer clothing purchases, expensive dinners, a country club membership. How are they funding this lifestyle? Judge Morrison asked. Credit cards, personal loans, and a second mortgage on their home. The next slide showed a web of debt. They told lenders they were expecting a significant inheritance. Jennifer shot to her feet. That's not... Sit down, Thaddeus hissed, pulling her back into her chair. Furthermore, Kyson continued, they used Ms. Alexandra's name and business success to secure several of these loans, implying they had access to her assets. The slides kept coming. Bank statements showing overdraft fees, credit card statements with minimum payments missed, loan applications with inflated income figures. This is a systematic pattern of fraud, Hadley said. They've been living off borrowed money while planning to use a conservatorship to access Ms. Alexandra's assets to cover their debts. Your Honour, Thaddeus stood up. Even if the petitioners have financial difficulties, that doesn't negate their concerns about Ms. Alexandra's mental state. Actually, it does, Hadley replied, because their concerns are fabricated. She clicked to the next slide. Security camera footage from my apartment building. This is Raymond Ray accessing Ms. Alexandra's mailbox 3 weeks ago, and here, and here. 3 different timestamps, 3 different instances of Raymond rifling through my mail. Federal mail tampering, Judge Morrison said grimly. They were intercepting financial documents, medical correspondence, and legal notices, Hadley explained. Then using the information to build their case for incompetency, Raymond was sweating now, loosening his tie. But the most damning evidence, Hadley continued, is this recorded conversation from last Tuesday. My heart skipped. I hadn't known about any recording. Miss Alexandra, with our advice, began documenting her interactions with her family. This is Jennifer Ray speaking to her husband outside the courthouse after their initial filing. Jennifer's voice filled the courtroom, tinny but clear. Once we get control of her accounts, we pay off the credit cards first, then the second mortgage. We can make it look like we're investing her money conservatively. Raymond's voice. What if she fights it? She won't. She's always been weak. She'll probably be grateful someone else is making the decisions. The silence in the courtroom was deafening. Jennifer looked like she might vomit. Your Honour, Hadley said, this conservatorship petition isn't about protecting Ms. Alexandra. It's about stealing from her. Judge Morrison turned to Thaddeus. Do you have any response to these allegations? Thaddeus looked at his clients, then back at the judge. Your Honour, I was not aware of the full scope of my client's financial situation when I agreed to represent them. Are you withdrawing from the case? I am requesting permission to do so, yes. Jennifer stood up, ignoring Thaddeus's attempts to stop her. You don't understand, she said to the judge. She's not well. She sold her company for no reason. She isolates herself. She asked me to help with her paperwork because she couldn't understand it. Ms. Ray, please, sit down. She's manipulating all of you. She's always been manipulative ever since we were children. She makes people feel sorry for her and then she... Ms. Ray! Judge Morrison's voice cut through the courtroom like a blade. Sit down immediately or I will hold you in contempt. Jennifer collapsed into her chair, tears streaming down her face. Your Honour, Hadley said quietly, I believe it's time for Ms. Alexandra to speak for herself. Judge Morrison looked at me. Ms. Alexandra, are you prepared to testify on your own behalf? I stood up slowly, smoothing down my skirt. For a moment, I let myself look uncertain, vulnerable. Yes, Your Honour, I think it's time everyone heard the truth. As I walked to the witness stand, I could feel every eye in the courtroom on me. Jennifer was still crying. Raymond looked like he was planning his escape route. Mum and Dad, who had been silent through the entire proceeding, looked shell-shocked. I placed my hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd been lying to my family for weeks, but now, finally, I was going to be completely honest. Ms. Alexandra, Hadley began, are you mentally incompetent? No. Are you unable to manage your own financial affairs? No. Did you ask your sister to help with paperwork because you were confused? I looked directly at Jennifer. No. I asked her to help because I wanted to see what she would do with access to my financial information. Jennifer's face went white. And what did she do? She tried to convince me to sell my apartment and move somewhere cheaper. She told me I was spending too much money and needed someone to make better decisions for me. Were you spending too much money? No. My housing costs are less than 8% of my annual income. That's considered very conservative. Judge Morrison leaned forward. Ms. Alexandra, do you have something you'd like to tell this court? I smiled. Yes, Your Honour. I'd like to tell them about the shell companies. Your Honour, I said, settling into the witness chair. 3 weeks ago, I discovered that my sister and her husband owed $400,000 to various creditors. Yesterday, I purchased all of that debt. The courtroom erupted. Jennifer screamed, What? So loudly that Judge Morrison had to bang her gavel. Order! Order in this courtroom! Ms. Alexandra, Hadley continued once the noise died down, can you explain how you were able to make this purchase? I liquidated some investments and worked through a private equity firm that specializes in distressed debt. It's a common business practice. Jennifer was hyperventilating. Raymond had his head in his hands. "What does this mean, in practical terms?" Judge Morrison asked. "It means I am now Jennifer and Raymond's primary creditor. They owe me $400,000, and based on their payment history, they're in default." "You can't do this!" Jennifer shouted, jumping to her feet. "This is insane! This proves you're not mentally stable." "Actually," I said calmly, "it proves I understand business better than you thought." Judge Morrison looked fascinated despite herself. "Miss Alexandra, why did you purchase this debt?" "Because I wanted to understand why my family suddenly decided I was incompetent. The timing seemed suspicious. Right after they accumulated massive debts, they filed for conservatorship over someone with substantial assets. So this was, what, a test? It was due diligence. I needed to know if their concern was genuine or if they had ulterior motives." Hadley stepped forward. "Your Honour, I'd like to present evidence of Ms. Alexandra's actual financial competence." She handed a folder to the bailiff. "These are Ms. Alexandra's investment records for the past year. Since selling her company, she has increased her net worth by 37% through strategic investments." 37%? Judge Morrison flipped through the documents. "She's been quietly investing in startups, serving on corporate boards, and managing a diversified portfolio. Her reckless spending on art has already appreciated in value by over $200,000. The apartment purchase? In a building that's appreciated 30% since she bought it. She could sell tomorrow and make a significant profit." Jennifer was shaking her head frantically. "No, no, no! She asked me to help with her paperwork. She said she was confused." "I said I needed help understanding some documents," I corrected. "I never said I was confused. I wanted to see what you would do with access to my financial information." "You manipulated me. I gave you an opportunity to be honest. You chose to use that information to build a case against my competency." Judge Morrison set down the papers. "Ms. Alexandra, let me understand this correctly. You suspected your family's motives, so you conducted your own investigation?" "Yes, Your Honour." "And during this investigation, you discovered they had significant debts?" "Yes." "So, you purchased those debts?" "Yes." "Why?" I looked at Jennifer, who was crying again, then at Raymond, who looked like he might pass out. "Because I wanted them to understand what it feels like to have someone else control your financial future." The courtroom was dead silent. "Your Honour," I continued, "they filed this petition claiming I couldn't manage my own money. But they've been living beyond their means for over a year, lying to creditors, tampering with my mail, and planning to use a conservatorship to steal from me. Who exactly is financially irresponsible here?" Judge Morrison turned to Jennifer and Raymond. "Do you have anything to say in response to these allegations?" Thaddeus stood up. "Your Honour, my former clients declined to comment on the advice of counsel." "Former clients? I'm withdrawing from this case effective immediately." Jennifer stood up, ignoring Thaddeus completely. "You want to destroy us," she said to me. "You've always been jealous that I was the successful one, the one everyone respected." "Successful?" I laughed. "Jennifer, you're $400,000 in debt. You've been living a lie for over a year. At least I have a real life. A husband, a home, respect in the community. Built on borrowed money and lies. You think you're so smart, but you're alone. You'll always be alone because no one can stand being around you." "That may be true," I said quietly, "but at least I'm not a fraud." Jennifer lunged toward me, but Raymond caught her arm. Judge Morrison banged her gavel hard. "That's enough! Ms. Ray, sit down immediately." "Your Honour," Hadley said, "I believe we've heard enough testimony to make a decision." Judge Morrison nodded. "This conservatorship petition is denied with prejudice. Furthermore, I am referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for investigation of mail tampering, fraud, and perjury. She looked directly at Jennifer and Raymond. You have 48 hours to retain new counsel. I suggest you use that time wisely. As the judge left the courtroom, Jennifer turned to me one last time. I hope you're happy, she whispered. You've destroyed everything. No, I said, standing up and gathering my purse. You destroyed everything. I just made sure everyone could see it. I walked past her toward the exit where Hadley was waiting. How do you feel? She asked. I looked back at Jennifer, who was sobbing in Raymond's arms, then at my parents, who looked like they'd aged 10 years in the past hour. Like I won, I said, and like I lost everything that mattered. The phone started ringing before I even got home from court. I let it go to voicemail while I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my couch staring out at the city. The first message was from a reporter. The second was from Jennifer sobbing into the phone. The third was from my cousin Jolie. Alex, I just heard what happened. Call me. I called her back. Jesus Christ, Alexandra, the whole family is losing their minds. I imagine they are. Your mum called me crying. She said Jennifer and Raymond might lose their house. They might? And you're okay with that? I took a sip of wine. They were okay with stealing from me. This is nuclear, Alex. You know that, right? There's no coming back from this. There was no coming back the moment they filed those papers. Jolie was quiet for a moment. What happens now? Now they figure out how to pay me $400,000 or they lose everything. Will you really do it? Foreclose on them? I stared out the window. I don't know. That evening, my parents showed up at my door. Dad looked older than I'd ever seen him. Mum's eyes were red from crying. Can we come in? Dad asked. I stepped aside and let them into my living room. Mum sat on the edge of my couch like she was afraid to get comfortable. We need to talk about Jennifer, she said. No, we don't. She made mistakes, but she's still your sister. She tried to have me declared mentally incompetent so she could steal my money. She was desperate, Dad said quietly. People do stupid things when they're desperate. Stupid things like tampering with federal mail, like lying on legal documents, like trying to destroy my reputation. Mum started crying again. She's going to lose everything. She already lost everything. She just didn't know it yet. You could forgive the debt, Dad said. You have more money than you could ever spend. I laughed, but there was no humour in it. You want me to give her $400,000 after what she did? We want you to be the bigger person. I was the bigger person for 35 years. I was the bigger person every time she took credit for my ideas, every time she made me feel stupid, every time you both chose her over me. That's not fair, Mum said. None of this is fair, but it's justice. They left without saying goodbye. The next morning, Raymond called. Alexandra, please, we need to talk. Talk. Not over the phone. Can we meet? Why would I do that? Because we're family. Family doesn't try to steal from each other, Raymond. We weren't trying to steal. We were trying to help. Help yourselves. Please, just give us a chance to explain. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet them at a coffee shop downtown. Jennifer looked like she hadn't slept in days. Raymond kept checking his phone like he was expecting a miracle. We're sorry, Jennifer said as soon as I sat down. We made terrible decisions, but we never meant to hurt you. You filed legal papers claiming I was mentally incompetent. We thought you were having some kind of breakdown after selling the company. Because I bought nice things with my own money. Because you stopped talking to us. Because you seemed lost. I wasn't lost. I was finally free. Raymond leaned forward. What do you want from us? I want you to understand what you did. You didn't just try to steal my money. You tried to steal my autonomy, my dignity, my right to make my own choices. We know, Jennifer whispered. We know, and we're sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. What would fix it? She asked. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. The designer clothes that were probably going back to the store, the expensive highlights that were growing out, the wedding ring she kept twisting around her finger. Nothing, I said finally. Some things can't be fixed. I stood up to leave, but Jennifer grabbed my arm. I was jealous, she said. I've always been jealous of you. You're smarter than me, braver than me. You built something amazing, and I just married well and pretended that was enough. Let go of me. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm asking anyway. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then at her face. For a moment, I saw the sister who used to braid my hair and tell me stories when I couldn't sleep. I'll restructure the debt, I said quietly. Payment plan over 10 years, no interest. Jennifer's face crumpled with relief. Thank you. But we're done. No more family dinners, no more holidays, no more pretending we're something we're not. Alexandra, we're done, Jennifer. I walked out of the coffee shop and didn't look back. That evening, I found a letter slipped under my door. Jolie's handwriting. Alex, I know you're hurting and I know you're angry. You have every right to be, but don't let their betrayal turn you into someone you're not. You won this battle, but don't lose yourself in the process. Maybe someday we can build something better from the ashes. Until then, use your freedom well. J. I folded the letter and put it in my desk drawer. Then I opened my laptop and started researching charities that helped people escape financial abuse. If I was going to be alone, I might as well make it count for something.